closely related to principle 5, excuse me, we have principle 8. Users want intellectual works, not digital objects. This is what I tend to think of as the users don't care about your problems principle. Principle number 5 says digital objects are more than collections of bits. But why is that? Because what you download is your hardware's problem. What you use is your interpretation of what your hardware downloads. It's an intellectual object. You don't ever really see the bits. What I said in the last video, the same digital object can be part of multiple works, right? An image can be part of multiple documents. The same citation can be part of multiple texts, etc. So on the one hand, you have a digital object that can be used and reused in multiple compound objects. On the other hand, you have compound objects that are made up of multiple smaller objects. And compound objects are mutable, changeable. Arms writes, quote, "Which digital objects should be grouped together cannot be specified in a few dogmatic rules. The decision depends upon the context, the specific objects, their type of content, and sometimes the actual content." Unquote. In other words, users want the intellectual objects that they want, and good design will be flexible enough for compound objects to be created and recreated on an as-needed basis. So, how do you design for that flexibility? See principle number 4. Names and identifiers are the basic building blocks. In the physical world, we have lots of unique identifiers: social security number, house address, phone number, ISBNs. As it turns out, actually social security numbers are the only one of those that's unique, really. All the rest get reused over long enough time horizons, right? You move, someone else moves into your house. ISBN numbers actually get reused, although that's not something that we usually see because it takes decades sometimes. But let's take social security number, right? That's unique to an individual and persistent over that individual's lifetime. URLs, on the other hand, are neither unique nor persistent. The content in a URL can change over time, and the URL at which the same content lives can change over time, right? Web pages can move. There are at least 2 schemes out there to deal with that particular problem: DOIs, digital object identifiers, and PURLs, P-U-R-L, persistent URLs. DOIs are designed primarily for published materials published by commercial publishers. PURLs are less widely used, but more flexible. They can be applied to basically anything. In fact, look at the very end of the Bill Arms article. Notice that there's HDL, colon, and etc. That's a handle. HDL is short for handle. It's an early version of the DOI system. And it's a handle and not a DOI because this article is so old that the DOI system hadn't even been invented yet. That was a bit of a tangent. So how do you design for the flexibility to create compound objects as needed? Answer: every digital object must have a unique identifier. A URL where it can be found now, tomorrow, next year, 300 years from now. So when your system goes to try to create a compound object, it can grab the pieces it needs and not get errors, like 404 errors, not found. We're all familiar with these.